3 bone-chilling true stories of being alone at midnight. Haunting secrets revealed. The clock struck midnight. Dark shadows danced like whispers through the empty streets. In this haunting hour, the supernatural stirs from its slumber, and night unfolds its eerie tale. Just when you think you are alone, fear creeps in like a chilling breeze. A high-pitched laugh, the faint echo of footsteps. Who else is there in the quiet? The shadows are deeper, the silence more profound. Every creak and moan of the old house makes your heart race. The air is thick, almost electric with uncertainty. It wasn't just any night. That fateful evening, Sarah drove down a winding road, headlights flickering. A storm swirled overhead, heavy rains like nails. Her phone buzzed with static. The signal was gone. Suddenly, from her rear view, a mist thick and low crawled along the pavement like a living thing. It wrapped around her tires and pulled at her sanity. She turned to look, just for a second, but nothing was there. Yet the feeling of a gaze lingered, pressing on her shoulders like a vice. Was it just her imagination? A ghost seeking solace, or something darker lurking in the folds of the night? Across town, Matt sat in his dimly lit apartment, mind racing with thoughts of old stories and legends. The creaking floorboards echoed his unease. Outside, the wind howled like a wounded beast. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through the silence. It was so loud, so insistent. His heart pounded. He peeked through the peephole, only to be met with the twisted face of a figure cloaked in darkness. Was it a prank? Or something far more sinister? It was enough to send chills down his spine, making him question what was truly outside those walls. Then there was Lisa, who believed she heard her dead grandmother calling her from the attic. The voice flowed like honey through every crack and corner of the house, the very air around her shifting. She climbed the rickety stairs, each footfall echoing down the corridor. What awaited her at the top? Would she find comfort, or something that lurked beyond the veil of the living? Her heart danced with a mix of dread and hope. Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As midnight approached closer, the world outside became a stage for secrets and shadows, a chilling prelude to what lay ahead. The air thickened, and the tapping came again, this time louder, more demanding. With each knock, the question loomed larger. Who or what was waiting just beyond the door? The heartbeat of the night quickened, urging you to confront the darkness. What secrets would be uncovered, and what horrors might be unleashed? The answers lay just out of view, hidden in the suffocating shadows. The air grew heavier, thick with anticipation. Somewhere on the other side of that door, terror lurked, just waiting. Matt's palms grew sweaty against the cool metal of the doorknob. He could hear the insistent tapping again, but now it transformed into frantic clawing. It sounded more like fingers, digging frantically, desperate to get in. He swallowed hard, his throat dry as dust. What was out there? An unwelcome visitor or a nightmare made flesh? Holding his breath, he leaned closer, straining to catch a glimpse. Silence blanketed the world outside. The wind had stilled, as if even the elements were afraid of whatever awaited him beyond that door. Just then, a flicker of movement caught his eye, a shadow darting past his window. Matt jolted back, and a scream built in his throat but got stuck, choked by fear. Whoever or whatever was out there knew he was inside. It was taunting him. Meanwhile, too far away to hear Matt's rising panic, Sarah's car sputtered to a stop. The storm had worsened, rain lashing against the windows like tiny, eager hands. She fumbled with her phone, desperate to call for help, but the screen was a chaotic mess of static and dead signals. Dread coiled tight in her belly as she glanced at the rearview mirror. The mist was back, now swirling with an eerie life of its own, creeping toward her like a predator on the hunt. Shouting at the darkness, she banged her palms against the steering wheel. "Get away! You're not real!" But her voice trembled, betraying her mounting fear. The mist thickened, pressing against her windshield, blotting out the world behind it. Was it a ghost or something worse? The air inside the car grew colder. She could see her breath. Then her heart stopped as she felt a soft tap, a rhythmic, persistent knock. It was coming from the passenger side, slow and deliberate, like footsteps echoing in a void. She turned slowly, terrified of what she might find back at home. Lisa reached the attic door. It loomed before her like the mouth of a cavern, beckoning her into the dark. Her grandmother's voice had resonated so sweetly, but now it felt tainted with something sinister. She hesitated, shaking like a leaf, but the call was undeniable, a magnetic pull drawing her closer. Was it love calling her home, or a lure into something that was never meant to be uncovered? With trembling hands, she pushed the creaky door open. The attic lay before her, cloaked in shadow, each corner brimming with forgotten memories. Dust motes danced in the beam of her flashlight, illuminating barely their shapes that felt like the past, encroaching on the present. And then it came an unearthly sound, a guttural whisper crawling through the silence. "Help me!" Matt's door rattled violently, grounding Matt in the moment, a culmination of fear that turned to survival instinct. He lunged for the nearest object, a heavy lamp, ready to defend his sanctuary, but something inside him whispered, urging to see what was on the other side. Outside, the tapping ceased. He hesitated, heart racing. Then he edged closer to the peephole one more time, and what he saw sent him reeling back. Couldn't he be, could it? The figure pressing against the wood had changed, had morphed into something recognizable yet unfathomable. The shadows outside were now shifting with a purpose. The storm ebbed as Sarah finally cracked the window, desperate to see beyond the mist. But the world had turned white. A surreal emptiness swallowed her car whole, leaving her trapped and alone. The clock ticked on, and three fates shook hands in the night, merging into a darkness that loomed still. What would happen when Midnight's grip released its hold? As each character drew closer to their respective truths, an unseen force wove their destinies together. But what price would they pay to confront the darkness emerging from their past? Clenching her fists, Sarah whispered softly, "I just want to get out." And the air seemed to pulse with unspoken secrets, hinting that escape might be the very last thing on her mind. But what lay ahead, veiled in darkness, would change everything. Would they unravel their haunting pasts, or would they each be claimed by the shadows? The door heaved again, rattling against its frame as if something beyond was impatient to break free. Matt's heart thudded painfully in his chest, each beat echoing in the silence that had once offered the promise of safety. "No, no," he whispered, retreating into the shadowed corner of his room. The lamp felt like a flimsy shield against the nightmares lurking just out of sight. He stumbled, gazing at the peephole one last time, dread clenching his gut. The figure outside was now undeniably familiar, a twisted mimicry of someone he once knew. But it was too different, too grotesque. Was it trying to replicate her? Or was it something even darker? He could almost feel its breath on the other side, rancid and cold. The house creaked ominously, amplifying every breath he took. Out of desperation, he grabbed the lamp tighter. The metallic clang as it connected with the wood echoed loudly, but the sound felt futile against the whispering horrors. And then a voice slithered through the cracks, soft yet overwhelming. "Matt, let me in." His blood ran cold. Sounded just like Sarah. Panic surged through him. She was supposed to be far away, shielded from this madness. "You're not, you can't be her," he shouted, but inside he was unsure. What if it was her? Meanwhile, in her car, Sarah's breath came in short bursts, every ounce of courage evaporating under the weight of the oppressive mist. The knocking had stopped, but a stillness hung in the air like a noose around her neck. Was there anyone there? Or was it just the wind, playing its cruel game? She peered into the thick fog outside, opening her door just a crack, trying to press through the encroaching wall of white. Then she heard a voice, faint but certain. Help me, Sarah, it seeped through the fog, wrapping around her like a cocoon. Just as she debated running into the mist, the back seat of her car shifted in her peripheral vision. Something wasn't right. She spun around to face it, and her breath hitched. No! Her scream shattered the silence, breaking through the suffocating fog. And there it was, standing over her shoulder, a pale silhouette with hollow eyes, a grin spreading like a crack in glass. It felt like time froze as she realized this wasn't just an illusion. The presence was real, and it was too close. Across town, Lisa's heart raced in sync with the ethereal whispers weaving through the attic. Help me, echoed hauntingly around her. A sob built in her throat. Should she heed the call or run? The voice lured her in, wrapping around her like an embrace, but a scream faded into the walls, urging her to remember who was really in there. She took a step forward. The beams of her flashlight flickered, revealing remnants of her childhood, old toys, dusty boxes, forgotten dreams. And then the whisper intensified, growing desperate. Lisa, you need to help me before it's too late. All three felt the pressure building, the weight of the dark secrets threatening to crush them. Clarity mixed with confusion, each was tearing down their own walls. But the threats grew ever more tangible. Just then, a crash broke the silence that had taken residence between them. It sounded like glass shattering, echoing beyond their isolated spaces. Was it a sign? Or was the darkness finally claiming its due? Unknowingly, they moved closer like moths drawn to the fire. With every second, the grip of the night tightened, teasing revelations just out of reach. Would they find courage to confront the truths waiting for them? Or would they be swallowed whole by shadows they couldn't escape? And then, as a faint light flickered in the distance for all three, a question loomed in the air. What would they sacrifice to see the dawn? The silence that followed the crash was suffocating. Matt's heart raced, each pulse a reminder of the encroaching terror lurking behind the door. The lamp flickered, and he gritted his teeth, wishing the light would hold against the shadows. His breaths came in short gasps as he backed further into the corner, feeling the roughness of the wall against his back. Matt, let me in. The voice on the other side of the door now held an unsettling familiarity. He couldn't tell if it was the fear clouding his judgment or something darker at play. You can't be her, he shouted again, but doubt gnawed at him. What if it really was Sarah? The door trembled again, almost as if it had a life of its own. It rattled harder than before, like a desperate child begging to be heard, and then a series of sharp knocks reverberated through his bones. Each thud echoed like a death knell, sending a chill racing down his spine. The shadows shifted, and he caught a glimpse of a hand, twisting under the doorframe. It was bloated, pale, with elongated fingers that wriggled like dying worms. A scream clawed at his throat, but he couldn't find the air to let it out. Meanwhile, Sarah's world was constricting around her as the figure in the back seat loomed closer. The hollow eyes bore into hers. Sarah, it whispered her name like a lover's caress, but the voice dripped with malice. She fumbled for the door handle, desperate to escape, yet her body felt anchored to the seat. You need to help me, the silhouette insisted, a harsh rasp cutting through the air. Just as she thought of pushing the door open, the figure lunged, and she slammed her eyes shut, willing herself to wake from this nightmare. Lisa was now racing up the attic stairs, flashlight quaking as she moved. The whispers had taken on an urgent tone, pulling her deeper into the shadows. You must remember, they cried. Stop. Who are you? She shouted, her voice wavering. Your choice defines you, Lisa. Help me before it's too late. The voice echoed, resonating with a mockery that stung like acid. Memories flooded her mind faces, moments long buried under layers of dust and pain. Each step toward the source felt like a step closer to her own unraveling. Suddenly, she turned the corner, and the flashlight flickered, revealing a broken mirror covered in cobwebs. Reflections danced back at her, her own face faded like a ghost's, morphing into something grotesque. The glass shattered under the pressure of unseen hands, glass shards flying into the air. Time seemed to stretch as each fragment sparkled momentarily, reflecting the darkness that surrounded her. A demonic cacophony erupted in unison. Shrieks from the attic, Matt's muffled scream behind his door, and Sarah's frantic breaths. The night whispered a command they couldn't ignore. Back in Matt's room, he clutched the lamp tighter, its light flickering weakly, rendering him vulnerable against the impending doom. "I want to let you in," he yelled. "What will you sacrifice, Matt?" The voice taunted. "Will your fear be your end?" Then, the sound of a door creaking open broke across the air, sending tremors through them all. Each of them faced their own moment of truth, their choices teetering on the brink of disaster. And that when it hit him, a realization sharper than glass. If he opened the door, would it be salvation or ruin? But before he could act, the darkness shifted once more, and in a gravelly voice, it whispered the final line. Only one can survive the night. As their minds raced, entangled in nightmares and hopes, the numbing question hung thick in the air. Who would be willing to sacrifice their soul for another? Matt's body shook, overwhelmed by a visceral dread. The room felt smaller, the walls closing in as he swayed, still clutching the lamp. Its light flickered impotently against the shadows writhing near the door. The voice had shifted, now barely recognizable, and he wondered if the thing outside had devoured Sarah's soul. Matt opened the door. "I just want to see you." It wasn't just her voice. It was laced with something sinister, something that didn't belong. Outside, the knocks grew frantic. The door would groaned under the pressure, splintering ever so slightly at the edges. Matt imagined the thing on the other side, its twisted hand squeezing through with cruel intent. A low growl punctuated the lingering silence as the thing seemed to sense his fear, feeding on it like a parasite. His thoughts darted to Sarah, trapped in that never-ending nightmare. He could taste the metallic tang of panic in his mouth. He had to make a choice. What if he could save her? But at what cost? As the frantic pounding escalated, a sudden clarity erupted in his mind. "No," he yelled, stepping away from the door. "I want to give in." But deep down, he knew the truth. Every second spent here was another second consumed by the darkness. In the back seat of that haunting car, Sarah felt herself slipping further from reality. She opened her eyes slowly, bravely facing the figure looming near her, its desolate smile betraying no humanity. "You think this is a game? You're mine now," it hissed, voice like sandpaper over glass. Fighting back the urge to scream, she lunged for the door handle again, but the air grew heavy, paralyzing her. Panic coursed through her veins, igniting a desperate flame. "I'm not yours. I want to let you win," she screamed. Outside, Lisa dashed through the attic, her heart racing with each step. Shadows scuttled across the walls, taunting her as if they were alive. "Help me," the voice had called again, this time more insistent, as if the very walls pleaded for her to listen. "Why should I trust you?" She spat into the darkness, the anger giving her a false sense of control. "Because this is bigger than you, Lisa. You feel that weight on your soul? It's the price of hesitation. It's time to wake up." The shards of glass lay scattered on the floor as her flashlight illuminated reflections of her own face twisted in horror. Abruptly, the shadows coalesced around her, whispering promises and threats that tangled within her mind. The urge to step back battling with the need to move forward. With a breath of resolve, she pressed on, following the echo of that haunting voice down the narrow corridor. Each step a countdown toward whatever awaited her at the end. Meanwhile, Matt's grip tightened around the lamp. A thud reverberated, jolting him from his thoughts. For a brief moment, the shadows coiled and receded. What had drawn them back? Matt. It was her voice again. A plea like the sweetest song, but so wrong amidst the chaos. Could he dare trust it? He dropped the lamp, its light extinguishing with an abrupt flicker that swallowed the room in darkness. Just as he contemplated the move, the voices merged into a twisted harmony that clawed at the fabric of his sanity. "One must fall," they chanted, the echo clawing at his insides with a surge of determination. He reached for the door, heart racing. He could hear Sarah's frantic cries echoing in his mind. Yet, something coiled around his decision. What if she wasn't the one pleading for help after all? Only one can survive the night. The very air hummed with dread. Matt's finger hovered above the doorknob. Did he dare open it, risking all for a chance at saving the girl he loved? The shadows stretched, the draw of their darkness urging him to make his choice. The question hung like a blade overhead. What was he willing to sacrifice to barter hope from despair? And with that, he turned the knob, resolved to uncover the truth, whatever it may unleash. The door creaked open, releasing a chill that wrapped around Matt like a vice. Shadows surged forward, banishing the vestiges of light from the room. As the darkness engulfed him, the air thickened, and he could feel the heat of breath against his skin, inhuman and chilling. His instincts screamed to slam the door shut, but a different force pulled him across the threshold, into the depths of uncertainty. Matt, the whisper sent shivers coursing through his body. A caress that was all wrong. It was her voice, yet it felt altered, as if a serpent had coiled around her words, tightening its grip. "Help me please, Sarah," he shouted, the panic rising like bile in his throat. The house groaned in response to his cry, the wood and plaster echoing like a ghost of forgotten memories. "Where are you?" With each heavy step into the darkness, Matt felt his mind drifting. The bend of the hallway twisted and stretched, flickering between the familiar and the grotesque. Images flashed his laughter with Sarah, her bright smile replaced now by a faceless entity. What had happened to her? What was really out there? "Turn around," the voice crooned, deceptive and seductive, reframing the urge to flee. "You don't want to go further. You don't want to see beneath the mounting pressure of uncertainty." Matt pressed forward, refusing to yield. His footsteps echoed in the stillness, merging with the distant thuds of his heart, each beat synchronized with the growing darkness. He had come too far already, and the thought of leaving Sarah in that hell sent his resolve hardening into steel. Meanwhile, in the clutches of that haunted car, Sarah was locked in a strained battle for her life. The figure leaned in closer, its smile deepening with each passing second. "You're afraid, but dread is useless. Every moment spent fighting is just another moment lost." Sarah felt the weight of despair settle on her chest. "No," she wouldn't he give in. "You think your words can cut deeper than the truth?" she hissed. "I'm stronger than you think." From the shadows of her memories, she could feel fragments of hope trying to pull her back. Matt's face, his laughter that sent ripples of warmth through her soul. But the entity only chuckled, its voice crawling over her skin. "Hope is a fleeting illusion. You'll succumb, just like those before you." Just then, a resonant crash echoed in the distance, shaking her resolve and shaking the night. A door had swung open somewhere, a twisted reminder of reality's fragile grip. Back in the hallway, Matt felt the shift. The very essence of the house warped around him, twisting into images of despair that clawed at his sanity. "Sarah!" he screamed again, desperation spilling from his lips like a torrential downpour. "Where are you?" Suddenly, a flicker of light broke through the dark chaos. An ethereal glow pierced the gloom ahead, casting distorted shadows that danced across the walls, beckoning him. Was it Sarah? Was it real? But as Matt stepped closer, the glow intensified, revealing a horrifying truth. A mirror, reflecting not his face but the faces of those who had vanished before him. Their eyes wide with terror, mouths agape in muted screams. Each expression spoke of a choice made, a moment of hesitation that had sealed their fate. No, the words slipped from his lips, barely a whisper against the symphony of shadows around him. He understood now. The darkness thrived on doubt, feeding off fear like a parasite. The faces swirled, mocking his every thought. The pounding in his chest escalated to a frantic beat as he grasped the truth. If he didn't act quickly, he would join them. Would he yield to despair? Or would he fight? As he broke from the illusion, the glow blazed brighter, forcing his eyes shut. In that instant, a sound cut through the whispers. A familiar, terrified scream echoed through the void. "Matt, help me!" The walls trembled with her plea, and it struck him like lightning. He could save her, but at what cost? He opened his eyes, flooded with determination. But suddenly, the light flickered and dimmed, the mirror cracking, revealing an ominous void. It all spiraled into chaos as he took a step back, realizing the shadows were not just in front of him but all around, clamoring for his attention. Sarah. His heart sank, knowing what this could lead to. The desperation was suffocating. How could he risk everything for a fleeting chance? And yet, what if he didn't? In that moment, he stood at the precipice of his choices, teetering on the edge of oblivion. A choice to either bind himself to the darkness or unleash the light he held within. Then, as the mirror shattered, he gasped, awakening something primal in him, one last attempt flickering in his mind. What if the truth had been hiding all along? And before he could contemplate the consequences, he charged forward into the darkness, embracing the unknown. The darkness swirled around Matt like a living thing, pulling him into its depths. His heart raced, heavy with the weight of dread and determination. Each step sank deeper into the shadows, the whispers clawing at his mind. "Matt, I need you," Sarah's cry echoed eerily, wrapping around him like barbed wire. He pushed himself forward, every muscle screaming with the effort, fists clenched against the encroaching terror. Had he truly charged into this abyss for her? Ahead, the shadows twisted, and something moved. A figure so dark it seemed to absorb the light hurried past, sending chills deep inside him. He felt the air grow cold, the whispers intensifying, rising to a screech that seemed to claw at his sanity. "Turn back," it hissed, 1,000 voices intertwining, their tone rising into a frenzied chorus. "No," he yelled, his voice fierce against the cacophony. "I won't leave her. I won't abandon her." The presence shifted, like thick smoke swirling around his legs. In the distance, flickering light illuminated another doorway, framing it like a stage set for a nightmare. It beckoned him, and despite every instinct telling him to flee, he charged towards it. "Help me," Sarah's voice rang clearer now, slicing through the chaos around him. He had to stay focused. She needed him. As he reached the door, he hesitated. The flickering light morphed, revealing disturbing already familiar scenes. Sarah, tied and screaming, eyes wild with fear. The sight twisted his gut, desperation and anger igniting a fire in his chest. He couldn't back down now. Pushing through the door, his senses exploded with sensations: heat, smoke, screams. The sight that met him was like a twisted movie screen of horrors. Shadows morphed into figures, wretched souls reaching out, their faces distorted with anguish, their eyes empty. "Matt!" Sarah's voice cracked through the haze, drawing his focus. He stepped deeper into the room, where the source of the light burned fiercely, an altar surrounded by flickering candles, each flame casting ominous shadows against the walls. A presence loomed over it. The dark figure towered, shrouded in a cloak that seemed to ripple like a living shadow. Its eyes glinted like steel, as if they could pierce through him. "You've come for her, haven't you?" The figure rasped, every word dripping with disdain. "But do you think love can conquer this? I won't let you take her," Matt shouted, his voice ringing loud and clear amidst the chaos. The figure laughed, a sound that vibrated through the air, sending shivers up Matt's spine. "You're already too late, boy. The darkness feeds on the bonds you share. You're both trapped in my web now." Time froze as realization struck, like ice water sloshing against his skin. No, he had to believe. "Sarah," he shouted again, desperation growing. Seconds were slipping away, and with them the chance to save her. "I believe in you. Fight. Fight this." A flicker of light caught his eye, emanating from the altar, brightening slightly. "Matt, I can feel you," Sarah gasped, her voice battling against the malevolence swirling around her. "I'm still here." An ember of hope ignited in his heart, but the shadowy figure raised its hand, and the atmosphere thickened. "Hope is your enemy here. She will lose herself just like the others did." "No," Matt roared, the primal instinct to protect surging through him. Emboldened, he lunged forward, grabbing a candle from the altar and thrusting it towards the dark figure. A scream ripped through the darkness as the flame connected with the shadowed entity, illuminating the closest faces momentarily, revealing their silent pleas for help. But the figure roared, another tendril of darkness wrapping around Matt's arm, dragging him back. He felt himself pulled between two worlds, the light of Sarah and the choking shadows. "Matt, please," Sarah shrieked, her voice now tinged with desperation. He gritted his teeth, biting against the pain. The lights around them flickered violently. The shadows twisted, threatening to engulf everything. But in that moment of sheer chaos, Matt realized something. What if love was stronger than fear? With one final heave, he drew on every ounce of strength and hurled the candle towards the darkness. Together, he roared, believing in them both. As the candle soared through the air, everything seemed to slow. The shadows curled back, and he caught a glimpse of Sarah, her hand reaching as if she was about to break free. But then, darkness erupted. The shadows howled, a sound that could shatter glass, waves crashing through the room. Matt felt the world around him tilt. What had he unleashed? It all crashed around him as Sarah's scream pierced the chaos, then silence. Heart racing, he dug deep. All hope depended on one last choice. Would he pull her back from the abyss? Or would he fall into the same void that sought to consume them both? In a heartbeat, he made his decision. Matt felt the ground beneath him shift like sand, the very fabric of reality twisting as if it were in on the malevolent game. The darkness reached out, wrapping around him like cold chains. He could still hear Sarah's voice faint, distant, a hook that pulled him through the chaos. "Matt, help me," her words slashed through the silence, igniting a fire in his chest. He took a deep breath, trying to clear his racing mind. No time for doubt. He had to break the hold this creature had on her. He was in a realm where shadows ruled, but he would not succumb. The dark figure loomed closer, its presence chilling. "You're playing a fool's game, boy," it taunted, voice a low growl. "You cannot win against what you cannot see." Matt clenched his fists tighter. "I can see you," he shot back, adrenaline surging through his veins. Each word fueled his defiance. "And I'm not afraid." With a swift motion, he gathered another candle from the altar. The flame swayed wildly, casting eerie light that fought against the encompassing dark. Observing the tangled shadows, he felt a pulsing energy. It reacted to his determination, like a living entity responding to his will. "Your love only serves to strengthen my grasp," the figure hissed, growing bolder, as the shadows surged closer, gnashing with unseen teeth. "Love is my weapon," Matt yelled, channeling the fire in his heart. "I won't let you take her. I refuse." Matt could feel a tremor build as he held the candle high. The air thickened with electricity. The shadows paused, as if considering his challenge. That flicker in his chest transformed into focused anger. He could feel Sarah's presence fighting against the void. Her spirit was alive, but the darkness clung to her. With a growl, Matt hurled the candle straight at the figure. It collided with a dark tendril, the flame bursting forth in brilliance. Light erupted, pushing back the shadows, illuminating horrific faces of lost souls. Their eyes wide, pleading seemed to leap from the darkness, their trapped echoes howling in agony. He recognized remnants of fears, doubts. They were like mirrors of what lay inside himself. The figure howled, twisting in fury. "This is your last chance, boy. You cannot save her. You only have time to save yourself." A wave of panic washed over Matt. The shadows recoiled, but he felt their relentless grip tightening back, squeezing like a vice. "No, I can't leave without her," he shouted, voice breaking as panic clawed at his throat. "Then you will both perish," the figure's voice dripped with sinister mirth. The flickering flames surrounded Matt and Sarah, illuminating a flicker of hope. "Matt," Sarah's voice broke through the chaos, tangible now like a cord connecting them. It summoned a warmth that surged through his chest. In that moment, he realized the truth. She wasn't just a victim. "Sarah," he shouted, directing his words like a lifeline. "You have to fight. Remember us. Our love. We can resist this together." A heartbeat of silence settled, drawing in the shadows as if they too were listening. Then, a crackling sound emanated from the altar, the light flickering brighter. Sarah's figure appeared amid the shadows, her hand reaching through the veil of darkness, straining for him. "I'm here, Matt. I can see you." she cried, her strength seeming to swell with each heartbeat. Matt's soul soared. Then let us pull each other back. We're stronger than this. With a grounded determination, Matt extended his hand, feeling the heat radiate from their connection. The light surged, a beacon piercing the overwhelming blackness. Suddenly, the dark figure screeched, long and banshee-like, as Matt felt the ground quake. Shadows writhed and lashed out, but it was weak. He had grabbed the flicker of hope, the love he had fought for. Would they be able to pull each other back and break the hold of the darkness? Or would it consume them both in a final embrace of despair? In the flurry of power, the answer melted into the chaos, the very essence of salvation hovering just out of reach. In that moment of reckoning, everything hung in balance. Which side would fate land on? The ground trembled violently beneath Matt's feet, shifting like the sand in an hourglass, time slipping away. An icy grip squeezed his heart as he focused on Sarah, her hand reaching for him, fingers just shy of a touch. He could see desperation in her eyes, battling the shadows that clawed at her. "Hold on," he shouted, driving his voice through the chaos. The air crackled with energy, a violent storm of fear and determination. The candle's light flared, illuminating the tortured souls that writhed around them, lost hopes and fragmented dreams, twisted by despair. The echoing cries filled Matt's ears, haunting and heart-wrenching. "Matt, please." Sarah's voice trembled, blending with the cries, but it was a beacon he could not ignore. In a moment of pure clarity, he knew what he had to do. He spread his limbs wide and dug deep into that flicker of warmth, his love for her. "I won't let you take her," he cried out, targeting the dark figure with a righteous anger that felt like fire in his veins. The shadow laughed, a low rumble that shook the very air. "You struggle for a lost cause, boy. Your love is but a whisper against the storm." Bursting with newfound resolve, Matt threw his entire self into the light, hand reaching out towards Sarah. "We're breaking free. Together." A blinding wave surged from him, fueled by hope and desperation. The shadows recoiled, their jagged forms hissing in pain as the light pushed them back. Faces of the damned appeared, twisting with agony, their cries merging into an ominous crescendo. But the dark figure was relentless. It lunged forward, tendrils of shadow wrapping around Matt's arm, squeezing until his bones felt like they might snap. "Submissions are the only way to survive in the dark," it taunted, and Matt felt the presence of despair wrap around him, trying to propel him into an abyss of surrender. "No, not now," his mind screamed, fighting against the crushing weight. He recalled the nights spent with Sarah, laughter ringing in his ears, moments of comfort that now glowed brighter against the encroaching darkness. "Fight, Sarah. Fight with me." He felt her presence flicker like a candle about to be snuffed, but it ignited something fierce within him. The shadows pressed closer, howling with fury. And then he truly saw her. Sarah's spirit burned bright under the weight of the darkness. "I'm fighting, Matt," she screamed, her voice cutting through the dissonance. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, he could feel a current between them, electric with love and defiance. In one desperate act fueled by conviction, he pulled himself and Sarah into a united front. "We are more than shadows. We are strength," he roared. The dark figure screeched, a shrill sound that chilled Matt's bones, and then something snapped. The shadows wailed, swirling like a tornado, struggling against a force greater than fear, an unwavering bond tethered to love. Suddenly, light exploded from their clasped hands, bright and undeniable. The shadows writhed, twisting away from the brilliance, shrieking as the darkness unraveled around them. "Hold on." Matt felt the presence of fear crumble as he poured every last ounce of courage into their connection. The darkness fractured, and with one violent crack, the world tilting, the shadows drew back in a blinding flash. They flew toward a brilliant light that pierced the suffocating veil. Would it be salvation, or another trap? As they soared through the radiant expanse, Matt kept his grip fierce. The shadows shrieked behind them, echoing with desperation. He wouldn't look back. Together they could overcome anything. Then, Just as they reached the light, the ground below vanished. They teetered on the edge of a yawning abyss, suspended in chaos. With a gasp, Matt's heart pounded. What comes next? God only knew what lay before them. But he wouldn't let go. Not now. Not ever. The shadows dove in after them, relentless and hungry. What awaited them on the other side? Would they find peace? Or would the darkness swallow them whole? In the frenetic moments that followed, light and darkness clashed with an intensity that felt almost unreal. Matt and Sarah, bound together through the twisted chaos, inhaled sharply as they crossed into a realm filled with brilliance, a stark contrast to the clenching shadows they had just escaped. A radiant glow enveloped them, warm and comforting, as if each luminous ray whispered safety. But behind them the darkness howled. Shadows stretched, elongating into grotesque forms that writhed and twisted, clawing their way toward the light that promised hope. It was a race against despair. "Hold on tight," Matt shouted, determination blazing in his chest. He could feel the connection between them pulsing, vibrant and alive. As they surged forward, he anchored himself to that bond, forcing the shadows to recede. "Matt, you have to believe we can finish this," Sarah urged, her voice steadying him. There was power residing within that bond, one fueled by every laugh, every tear they shared. With that, they sped toward the horizon of light, their fear morphing into resolve. As the penetrating warmth embraced them, the shadows screeched, shrill and desperate, as if their very essence was being pulled apart. Matt could sense it. He could feel the weight of fear dissipating. "Together," he urged, "we are stronger than this darkness." The light around them intensified, bathing them in a luminescence that cleared the mind and refreshed the spirit. Time hung suspended, moments stretching infinitely, allowing the pair to glimpse their happier memories. Sarah's laughter echoed in his heart, each memory flickering bright as the shadows faltered, losing their grip. But just as they began to break free, the dark figure arose one last time, looming large with malevolent intent, its voice echoing like thunder. "You may escape, but shadows will always linger. They are part of you now." Suddenly, the light flickered, and doubt crept in, threatening to engulf them once more. Matt's knees nearly buckled under the weight of uncertainty. Would they succumb to the nightmares that taunted them? "Remember our love," Sarah shouted through the turmoil, her eyes locking onto his, grounding him amid the chaos. "We will fight together." Clenching his fists, Matt steeled himself, drawing all his emotions, the pain, the joy, the sheer will to protect her, into a singular thought. "Our love is light. It breaks shadows." With renewed vigor, they thrust themselves into the brilliance, welcoming the warmth that enveloped them. As they crossed an invisible threshold, a blinding flash erupted, enveloping everything. Silence followed, a tranquility that washed over them like a gentle tide. Slowly, the brilliance receded, revealing them in an unfamiliar meadow beneath a sunlit sky, the air rich with colors that had once felt lost. It was peaceful, serene, a way station of sorts, a gentle caress from fate, softly nudging them toward healing. Matt blinked, disoriented yet relieved. Did we make it?" Sarah stood beside him, her hand gripping his tightly. "We did, but..." Her face clouded with thought. What about the others? His heart sank, but he felt the flicker of hope still radiating within them. "We can't forget them. We hold their memories, we can share our strength." The shadows lingered in the depths of their minds, whispers of what once was clawing at the edges. But here, in this bastion of light, they could begin anew. They would find a way to honor the lost souls they left behind, the ones trapped in darkness. They could lead and inspire others to break free, to find illumination within despair. Matt's fervor ignited anew. "Let us teach others how to fight back, to overcome, for every soul that needs saving." As their hands tightened around each other, a symbol of unity in defiance of despair, they stood firm, promising to share their story. They would confront the shadows and empower others to face their fears. Together, they walked forward into the endless expanse of light, their laughter ringing through the air as they ventured toward a future filled with hope, spurred by love Testament to the strength that lies within. As their figures disappeared into the horizon, the whispers of darkness faded into the breeze, leaving that meadow an eternal sanctuary of healing. And now, for you who've experienced this journey with them, it's time to connect to your own strength. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that await you. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm and give this journey the wings to soar further. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about their journey to freedom, because your voice matters. And wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful conclusion. Let us grow this community of resilience and light together.